I'm up on Mam Tor in the Peak District, and there's been a bit of a change. Some of you need to get here quick before the change takes place across the board. For us photographers, it's horrific. Now, one of the great difficulties I've had for a while now in recording these videos is that I often get to a place and the idea of starting to record, I'm really put off by just like how stunningly beautiful a place is. This morning's a great example of that. I've been here for about an hour and just stunning, absolutely stunning. And it's so peaceful. I just sat down actually. I just thought, you know, I could just sit here and fall asleep. That is how beautifully peaceful it is. And often the idea of turning the video on and starting to record and therefore disturbing the tranquility of the place with my voice is actually a little bit off-putting. But anyway, there is a couple of things I thought I'd kind of mention whilst I'm up here. So I'm on Mam Tor, and there's been a bit of a change. And I haven't been up here for a little while, but I'm going to gather that this change is fairly recent. And it's quite a big change for us photographers. I took a shot a few years back now of kind of the scene that's just behind me here. This path a little bit further down at the gate that's just down there, just beyond the gate actually. But over the years, several times I've took shots from around here and quite often used the fence that runs along the side of the path as kind of a leading line. And it was beautiful, you know, it was made of wood. It fit in nicely into the landscape. And I've come here this morning and found that halfway down, in fact, all the way from the base of Mam Tor over behind the peak and all the way down to said gate, the fence has been replaced, and it's been replaced by metal wire fence. For us photographers, it's horrific and just doesn't fit in at all with the landscape. Now, I'm sure the National Trust who manage the place have their reasons. They've no doubt that cost is involved somewhere. I'm presuming it hasn't happened that long because all the wooden blocks from the old fence are strewn out, laid out behind the new fence, all the way down to the gate. And by the looks of it, that's going to continue, and it's going to go past the gate down to Back Tor and Lewes Hill. If it was ever a dream of yours to come here and get a shot looking down the far more natural fence that reflects the light beautifully during golden hour sunrise, you need to do it quick, because by the looks of it, that's going to be gone. And I suppose that's a great reason to document the landscape, because it is ever evolving and ever changing. That is a real shame. Around about 2 years ago, I put together a little Peak District meetup. There was a few of us on it, and as we were out and about, one of the guys, Chris or Peter, I can't remember which, asked me why I wasn't taking any photographs. We'd been out for a little while by this point, and I was walking around with my camera in hand. And I knew why I wasn't taking any photographs, but I found it really difficult to explain. And so I ended up just saying, I just know what I like, and I know what I don't. And there's nothing that's catching my attention right now. I do know what I like, and I knew why it wasn't there that day, but I couldn't think of how to phrase it without sounding like a bit of a pretentious twit. The pretentiousness of saying that I do photography for art stops me from saying it because it sounds twattish. And it almost, I feel sometimes, makes other people feel like it's a dig at them. I've had this a few times where I've been called out for saying that I do photography as an artistic endeavor, for saying things like I create images rather than I take photos. The photo of this exact moment of me stood here right now, with this encapsulated in time, doesn't exist. For it to exist, I have to create it. I went away from that day and I thought about it. I thought about what my photography meant, what I was trying to capture, and how it had changed. I'm going to prelude this by saying that anybody can do photography the way that they want to do photography. Nobody has to see it the same way as I see it. But I am, and again, this sounds twattish, a professional photographer. It's what I do for a living. I photograph for a living. I go out to people's businesses and I photograph people, products, places. I no longer see photography as a pastime. It's not a hobby, it's my job. And so for this to mean something for me to want to do landscape photography, for me to want to continue to come out with the camera, it has to mean more. So I had to get to a point where I was saying, well, this is what I shoot. This is how I shoot it. And that's what makes me want to get my camera out. So I don't want to concentrate on stuff that I'm not really overly interested in, just so I can say I've got some images. And just specifically for content, I want very much to create a portfolio of works that are, in my opinion, hangable. And I want to do that in a certain and specific way that is mine, is my style. And so I came up with the artistic statement to kind of answer the question, really, that I was asked, which was, why aren't you taking any photos today?
My landscape work is driven by an appreciation for the history and vast scale of the natural world, landscapes where stories unfold over centuries rather than years. I'm drawn to atmospheric and emotive scenes where light, mood, and form invite the viewer not just to see, but to feel. Each composition begins as a study of light and atmosphere in places where nature thrives whilst human influence is dwarfed. In moments where golden light, shifting skies, and the land's quiet movements converge, I aim to go beyond documentation, seeking instead to create emotive fine art photographs that whisper the timeless tales of nature's landscapes.
There's a good chance you might think that sounds a little bit knobbish, and that's, it's your prerogative to think that. For me, though, it's been really helpful the last 2 years to kind of have a definite idea of what I'm going for with my landscape photography. When I come out on days like today, as an example, I came out here really for the scene that's behind me just here, with the car going down the road. I've never shot this. I know a lot of people have, but I've never shot it. But I'm not going to shoot it today because it doesn't fit in with what I've set out as my artistic intent. There's no mood here. I don't feel anything. It's a lovely scene. It's a pleasant scene. But it's lacking in emotion and mood and atmosphere. And it's not all the time, because I've seen it when it has that stuff. I've been here when it has that stuff. I know exactly the weather conditions that will give me that stuff. And it's not today. And of course, this bears into why there has been fewer landscape videos here on the channel, because by defining what I do as a landscape photographer, I'm producing less. I'm not wasting time, energy, and money, ultimately. Coming out and taking shots that are just going to sit on the hard drive, mean nothing to me. I just don't need to do that anymore. This is something that I want to do, to create the kind of photographs that I want to create.